Hi, this is Ren.
This is Casey.
And this is All Walks of Film. And today we're talking about Quentin Tarantino's 8th film, so titled The Hateful Eight.
Oh my god, this movie sucked, you guys. This movie was so horrible.
Yeah.
That was a joke.
Yeah.
That was a joke. I expected Ren to, freak out, but no. He was just like, no, I see what you're doing. You're making it up. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not a good liar. I'm a really terrible liar.
Yeah.
No, it's just first of all, spoiler-free opinion. This is a yes movie for me. That's how I like to grade things sometimes without spoilers, as opposed to putting them on a 5-star scale. I put them as yes or no movies. And this is a yes movie, for sure.
If you're a Quentin Tarantino fan, this is definitely
you're gonna see it.
Yeah.
You don't need us to tell you to go see it.
Yeah, and we actually saw this at the Chicago Music Box
Woo-hoo!
in its glorious 70mm Panavision display.
Oh my god, you guys. Oh my god. I saw a Panavision movie. I'm freaking out. I'm so happy. Dude, you guys, I saw a Panavision movie in my lifetime. I'm just so happy.
Yeah.
Ever since I've learned what the fuck Panavision was, I'm like, what the hell? That sounds amazing. And I get why you totally can't do Panavision. I get why. But I'm like, man, I want to fucking watch a Panavision movie. And they filmed Interstellar in Panavision and they just didn't really release it that way. And then Tarantino's like, oh, well, fuck you bitches. I want to make a Panavision movie. So I'm going to make this a Panavision movie. And there.
Yeah.
Fuck
and
yeah.
For those of you who didn't listen to our Star Wars second review, we originally tried to see this at another theater.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, it's a technology that
we tried to see it at another theater, and the projector didn't work because it's a specialty projector, and this theater had one, and they didn't know how to fucking use it. It's understandable, but oh my god, heads were fucking rolling. People were pissed. It was fucking hilarious.
So, yeah, if you want to hear the full story, definitely listen to the beginning of our second review of Star Wars. Yeah.
But we did finally see it tonight, and it was fucking glorious. It was the 70mm Panavision 70 Roadshow, whatever.
And we waited out in the cold.
Oh my god. It was so cold, but I was like, dude, look at the poster, look at what they have to go through. We're just getting in the mood. And then I got into the theater, and the entire first half of the movie, I was fucking freezing. And I was like, fuck this, I don't want to be in the mood. Not really.
But it's so funny because, I mean, that put you in the perfect mood for the movie.
I know, but then I got inside and I was cold the whole movie. Anyways, so we saw the Roadshow version, which is supposed to have an extra 20 minutes more footage, plus it also has an intermission. Yeah. And can I say, first of all, thank fucking God somebody had the decency to bring back intermissions. Taking away intermissions was the dumbest fucking idea theaters ever made. Monetarily, if nothing else, because people run out of their drink halfway through. People run out of their popcorn halfway through. People really fucking have to pee halfway through a 3-hour goddamn movie.
Yeah, and especially when you're making so many movies that are 2.5 hours long.
That's the thing now that you do. You just make a movie 2.5 hours or 3 hours. You just fucking do that. And people are like, no intermission. It's I'm not gonna leave. I paid full price for a ticket to see it in theaters, and I don't have a pause button. I'm not gonna get up, but I really, really want to.
Yeah,
it sucks.
And ever since I had this experience, I saw the movie Valkyrie, and the climactic moment in the movie, I had to pee, and I missed the most epic part of the entire movie, and ever since then, I'm like, yeah. Fucking intermission. Sometime.
For me, it was, I was so fucking relieved when I saw Jake Sully's eyes open at the end of Avatar. I was like, thank you, it's over, I need to go now! Yeah, so thank God somebody had the decency to bring back a fucking intermission. That needs to be common practice.
Yeah.
For real. And guess what? the intermission, or the concession line during the intermission went like all the way through the theater. It was huge. People want their fucking concessions.
I mean, I don't see...
You could also make concessions less expensive if you know that you're selling twice as much of it. Just saying.
So the movie was shot in 70mm Panavision, which is practically
fucking glorious.
It's practically a dead technology.
Yeah, as much as people want to be like, oh, stop motion animation is dead. No, it fucking isn't. Panavision is dead. Yeah. Panavision is Latin.
Yeah, I mean, we have IMAX movies that are shot in IMAX, which is close to the idea.
Panavision was like the IMAX of its time, right. But it was also expensive as all hell and really complicated to do.
This movie definitely feels like Quentin Tarantino is like, fuck you guys, I'm doing Panavision. Because, to be fair, watching the entire movie, there are scenes that use the Panavision to its glory, but for the most part, it's a very claustrophobic film, which is interesting that Quentin Tarantino is like, glorious Panavision, claustrophobic movie.
Yeah, and I'll eat my own words, because I was like, but Panavision! I just want to see a Panavision movie! And yeah, they really didn't utilize it in this movie, but Tarantino wanted to make a fucking Panavision movie, so there would be Panavision again. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, but I think if he had done this for, like, really any of his other movies...
other movie but this one.
Yeah, something that doesn't take place for the most part, in, like, one cabin.
One-room cabin. Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna have to bite my tongue on that a little bit, because it's true. I can objectively see that it's true. But inside, I'm just like, I can die happy. Fuck it. I don't care. Thank you, Tarantino.
All right, so getting into the movie. The movie had 5 chapters.
Yes.
And it was, a typical 3-act structure.
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
Well, like you were saying, it felt kind of like a stage play. Stage plays are 5 acts. Plays are 5 acts. This is 5 chapters, and an intermission always falls at the end of chapter 3, at the beginning of chapter 4, and that's exactly where it did. You're right.
Okay.
It was paced just like a stage play. It really was.
Yeah, and in many ways, it was shot like a filmic stage play.
I completely disagree. You want to talk about a movie that's shot like a stage play? Watch freaking Tim Burton's Sweeney Todd. Because there's one shot, but other than that, that could easily be a stage play.
Or, watch a Douglas Sirk movie.
Yeah, this film at least had cinematography and clever shots.
But, even movies that are stage play, do have cinematic stuff. Like, Bergman's early works, you've commented, are very stagey, but...
No, that is not what I said at all.
Okay.
What I said was, it's refreshing to see a film that doesn't feel overworked, because we see all these grand movies and we talk about all the ways that it was made and how all of this worked and the functionality of it and all this stuff, and that's fantastic. But then it was amazing to watch this film, and it didn't feel worked at all. It just felt organic and fresh, and that is not to say that there wasn't that same level of craftsmanship to it. There definitely was. It just felt so natural that I wasn't paying attention. I was just invested in like this feeling of it, and that was very, very impressive to me.
Yeah.
That is entirely different than saying that it felt stagey.
And I will say that it's interesting because this is, next to Pulp Fiction, the only film that Quentin Tarantino has done where pretty much the main star of the movie is Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah. And Samuel L. Jackson, as always, is just doing Samuel L. Jackson. That's it. But it's awesome and it's fun and it's cool.
To be fair, he does a little bit of a different role in Django Unchained,
right? But I mean, like, in general, that's him. He doesn't really act. He just is Samuel L. Jackson, and that's cool.
I'm the angry black man.
Well, I'm not gonna fucking complain. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Unless it's him doing that again, and it's fucking awesome, and it's fine.
Yeah. So, in the movie, you have Kurt Russell who plays the Hangman.
There are 2 characters named the Hangman in this movie, guys.
Yeah.
That gets a little confusing.
He's John Ruth.
Yeah, he's John Ruth, but he's also called the Hangman. So, and there's another character who is a hangman. His name isn't the Hangman, but they call him the Hangman because that's what he is.
But, spoiler alert. Spoiler for this entire review.
Okay.
Starting now. Yeah, he's not really a hangman.
Yeah, but they call him that for like 3/5 of the movie.
Right.
And those are the 3/5 that he's in. So the whole... Anyways, not the point, not the point. Keep going.
But it's a front. And throughout the whole movie, it is a mystery because you're trying to figure out what the motivations are, who's doing
what and when and what's going on and how
who's
it all
lying
unfolds
and all that stuff.
And to be fair, I don't particularly care for murder mysteries. It's not like psychological thrillers where I'm like, fuck that shit. But it's just not anything I particularly enjoy or am drawn to unless it's a double feature of Rocky Horror Picture Show and Clue, because that's a fantastic evening of fun. But I was really into it in this case.
Yeah, well, I mean, this wasn't really a murder mystery. It was more so
a whodunit?
Not really a whodunit, like more of, like a Mexican standoff.
Well, right, because
story, because I mean, there is an element of whodunit, but there's also
but that element,
but the tension of at any moment characters could get killed off. It's taking the end scene from Reservoir Dogs, or taking the bar scene from Inglourious Bastards, and essentially making an entire movie of that premise.
Right, and I understand that, but my point is that the whodunit element, it was an element I specifically enjoyed.
Right. Okay.
And I usually don't, but I liked it in this case.
Probably the most interesting scene was the scene that the audience was very...
Oh my god.
Very
this was
invested.
So hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay, again, major spoiler, but right before the intermission, there's this whole scene where Samuel L. Jackson is giving this speech about how he made this dude suck his dick. And then intermission. The whole audience let out a collective, not laughter, not an, oh my god, no. All over the theater, you just heard this one unanimous, holy shit! It was so fucking funny. Oh my god. And I was kind of like, dude, you guys, you're watching a Tarantino flick, but I mean, that was hilarious.
Did you forget the gimp?
Yeah, right.
Well, to be fair, he hasn't done anything really sexual in a while.
I know, but like, is that shock? Anyways, I'm not getting on people's cases for that. It was fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
There are certain movie-going experiences where the audience really makes it, and like that was definitely one.
Yeah, and
oh man,
I will say the movie never confirms or denies the fact that he did that. You think it's bullshit. You
think that it's not because he got his nuts blown off as divine retribution, but
it could go both ways. How
full of shit he is for the whole rest of the movie, I wouldn't put it past him to have made all that shit up. And I still think that divine retribution still works even if he's telling it as a lie.
Yeah,
he fucking killed an old dude with that story.
And the reason why he did it was to claim self-defense.
Right, legally, because he was in front of this dude he thought was a hangman. And he didn't want to get hung himself.
Right.
Hanged? I don't know.
Hanged,
yeah. I'm gonna say freaking Mark and Samuel L. Jackson and Chris were awesome once they started teaming up. They're like my new favorite buddies. I loved them. They were so cute.
Yeah.
Like Tweak and Krieg. Oh, they were just fucking adorable. I loved it. They were so cute.
Yeah, that was a good pair, and I think I called it like at some point.
Yeah, you called it that they were you called that they were working together the whole time. And it didn't quite play out that way because it just sort of fell in together, kind of. I call a little bit of bullshit on that since like he was kind of a racist bastard for a lot of the movie. I really hated him for like the first 3 acts, but fuck it, they were cute by the end, so it was okay.
Yeah, and going on to the racism factor, this movie use the N-word so much that it was actually a plot point.
Yeah.
That, like, you know, this movie was like internalizing black rage, which is, you know, just N-word, 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 okay, I'm gonna kill motherfuckers now. And because there were some scenes where it was like, wow, how many times can we use the N-word in a minute?
Well, it was also just like, how many times can you use it considering how few people are even saying it?
Yeah, I did think it was interesting that Kurt Russell never said it.
Yeah, he was the only guy who was like...
Black man.
Yeah.
That's all he'd say.
Yeah.
Did he say it once?
Yeah,
No.
he was like black fellow or something like that. When he doesn't recognize him yet at the beginning. Like, move over there and put your guns yonder. You know, he's like, black man or something like that. I don't know. Overall, I was cool with the movie because it was just super enjoyable.
Yeah.
It was just a lot of fun, and it was a fun ride. There was nothing to the plot or the characters or the story that was just making me go like, wait a minute. Hold up now. You know, I was just like, it was just fun, and I'm cool with that. It wasn't much more than that. But, fuck it, I don't care. I had a blast. I was just laughing the whole fucking way home. It was awesome.
Yeah, and we looked at some reviews before we, you know, came on to do this, and a lot of people thought it was, like, excessive and all that kind of stuff, and it's like, do you not really
Do you, Tarantino?
Yeah.
Well, even that one review was like, now I know that he's done this before, but it's just for the sake of it. And I'm like, this is really Hateful Eight is one of his tamest films. By a lot, especially in the violence category.
Yeah, did you forget the scalping in Inglourious Bastards?
Mm-hmm.
Or, you know, guys getting their heads...
I mean, even the Crazy 88 fight was momentously bloody for the sake of just being bloody and gory. Yeah. Something I have zero problem with, by the way. I am all about that. That is cool.
And originally, the Roadshow version had that scene in color. But it was put in black and white so that it could get past the MPAA, because the MPAA is fucking retarded.
Oh, yeah. Anyways. So, yeah. I really liked the movie. I liked everyone in it. I am gonna say there was never a Hateful Eight. There was never a moment where there was a Hateful Eight. Because there were never 8 people.
Right, yeah. If you look at the posters, yeah. If you want to call those people...
Well, here's the thing. Channing Tatum doesn't count. Because he was in the basement and doesn't show up until like 3/4 of the way into the movie. And I was really bummed because the only thing about this movie was I knew he was in the cabin the whole time. And so when he popped up and, oh my god, there's somebody underneath, I was like, finally, I've been waiting for you all fucking movie. Where have you been? But, and the only reason why was because in the opening credits, it was like, blah, 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 and Channing Tatum. And I was like, the fuck? Channing Tatum's in a Tarantino movie? What the hell is this? And then when they get to the point where they're in the cabin and they're saying over and over again, like, well, we're going to be stuck here for 2 to 3 days. Nobody's getting out. Nobody's getting in. And I'm like, okay, we're going to be stuck in this cabin the rest of the movie. Channing Tatum's in the cabin. So then when he popped up, I was like, finally. Anyways, what was my point? Oh, there was never a Hateful Eight because he doesn't count. That's fine. You still had 9, but technically OB doesn't count because he was never involved in any dealings. He was never a part of one side or another. He just was the carriage driver, and he was the dude who had to go out in the blizzard over and over and over again. And then he was the dude who was just up and killed, and everyone got pissed that he got killed because he didn't do nothing. So whatever. But like, there was no Hateful Eight.
Yeah.
Other than it was his 8th movie. That was the Hateful Eight, and it just sounds nice, but there's never a Hateful Eight.
Well, and it is kind of funny because technically there are 8 Tarantino films, but there are 2 other films that Tarantino was involved with, you know, in screenwriting, but didn't actually direct, which he has had sort of a vendetta against, and those 2 movies are True Romance and Natural Born Killers.
Right.
Both based off of the story behind Terrence Malick's Badlands. minutes.
Right. And it's just one of those things like The Breakfast Club, where I'm like, why the fuck did you call it The Breakfast Club? The only time you ever eat together is lunch. People are like, oh, well, they get together early on Saturday morning. And I'm like, but they don't eat breakfast together. What the fuck is The Breakfast Club?
From my understanding, the reason why they called it The Breakfast Club was the original title was The Brunch Club, but they didn't like...
Well, that sounds kind of shitty, yeah.
Yeah, so...
And the Lunch Club sounds kind of shitty, too.
Yeah,
the Breakfast Club just sounds nice. But in the context of the movie, there's no fucking reason to call it The Breakfast Club. It's just like that, where it's like, there is no 8. There is never 8 people at any given time, at any point in the movie. It's always... It's always like 5 or 10 or more. It's never 8. That's not a big deal. Whatever. I know I just rambled about it, but it's really the only thing I have against the movie. The movie wasn't fantastic, and it wasn't the best thing ever, and it wasn't an artful masterpiece, like a Serbian film or something, but... but it was just fucking fun, and I'm okay with that. I just want to have my fucking fun in my Panavision and indulge, and you know, this is just a really nice chocolate bar. Not like a Hershey's chocolate bar where it's just like, ugh, but you know, like a nice one, like a Toblerone or something.
Yeah, so we thought the movie was decent. You know, if you're a Quentin Tarantino fan, it's definitely a must-see. The theater experience is there somewhat.
Well, here's the thing. A, I think the movie would really suffer without the intermission.
Right.
That just really helped the pacing. But B, I don't know where they made those cuts. And I get, like, what you're saying, like, Panavision isn't entirely necessary, especially since, like, most people can't see it. But I'm kind of remiss for people who got 20 minutes less in the movie. That makes me kind of sad. Yes, I know you were saying, like, a lot of the stuff at the beginning kind of dragged on, but I was okay with it because it set up a lot of stuff, and they were really getting the tension and the feels in, and then a lot of that stuff pays off as the movie goes along.
To be fair, very few Tarantino movies really work at the beginning. Mm-hmm. You know, oftentimes, you know, the pacing at the beginning, more so with like his recent films.
I don't know, Jackie Brown, the opening, I'm like, dude, I understand that you're quoting The Graduate, but why are you quoting The Graduate?
You mean emulating The Graduate?
No, like it's a filmic quotation.
Okay.
But the whole scene where she's in the airport and she's going down the sidewalk, the only reason it works in the context of the film is because she happens to be a stewardess, but the actual emotional impact of those two scenes doesn't work, and they don't coincide together or relate to one another. So why the fuck did you do it that way?
Yeah.
And that's a long take. And that's the hook that gets you invested. And I was sitting there for like 3 minutes just thinking simultaneously, God, Pam Grier is gorgeous, and what the fuck is Tarantino doing right now?
Yeah.
Besides just, I love The Graduate, dude. Which, I mean, who doesn't?
Yeah. I mean, there's some Tarantino films that I'm invested in at the very beginning. Probably the best one for me is Django Unchained, because they actually tell his story through montage, which is something that you don't often see at the very beginning of Tarantino films. Either it's, I mean, I do like the intro to Inglourious Bastards, which I think is his most cinematic. I was kind of disappointed with this film, you know, with the whole 70 millimeter and all this kind of stuff, which I'm glad that I saw it in 70 millimeter, but out of all of Tarantino's films, except for maybe Reservoir Dogs, it's like the least cinematic.
Mm-hmm. And that's not to say, like, it doesn't still look stunning, and it does. And all the outdoor scenes work amazingly in Panavision, and the opening shot with the crucifix was amazingly well done, but that's, like, such a small percentage of the film.
Yeah,
and then you have, like, a small hand.
It teases you throughout, like, oh, look at this glorious Panavision movie, and then you're like, oh, cool, awesome, and then you're stuck in,
when you get, like, the wide expanse of the snow and the cold and the elements, it works really great. But when you're not in that setting, which is almost none of the movie, and except for less than a handful of shots that truly utilize what they're doing, there's a 360 shot, and then there's a couple back and forth shots,
And there are a couple
then there's
shots.
the opening shot.
There are a couple shots where you have like one character in the foreground and like characters in the middle ground and background on different sides that the Panavision works really well with.
But that wasn't most of the film, or
Right.
half of the film, or maybe a quarter of the film.
Yeah, that's more like in the last act of the film when you're just almost to the point where you're like, really? I went to go see a Panavision movie and okay, there's some Panavision stuff here. You know, just so that you feel like you're getting your money's worth. I mean, it seems like every moment in the film where I'm just like, Panavision? Really? And then they, you know, throw in like
it
one
really
shot.
does feel like Tarantino did it because he wanted to, and that's as much thought as really went into it.
I question that a little bit.
Okay.
Also, like, Tarantino got pissed off at Star Wars, and it's like, you got pissed off at a movie that you know would make more money than yours.
Well, that's why he got pissed off.
Yeah.
But I kind of, I don't know, I was hooked in at the beginning. I never really felt like the pacing really lagged. I never felt like,
I don't
what's
know.
going on?
I felt that
But-
way at the beginning.
Well,
Me personally.
right, and that's the point of having two people on a podcast, is to have conflicting opinions. I personally didn't, because I was into it, and I was cool with it. Now part of it was that I really liked every character in the film. Not like, oh, hey, I want to hang out with you. But every character was very well developed, and they worked really well, and they had their own whatever. And when you have so few characters, it's super important.
Yeah, and for me personally, there were only two characters that I was invested in for like a majority of the film, and that was John Ruth and Mark. For a good portion of the movie, those were the two characters that I was interested in.
And I was the exact opposite, where every time there was a new character, it was like, oh, who are you? I want to know more about you. I want to see you more, and then I want to see how you guys interact. I mean, This film is a character piece. It totally is, 100%. And if you don't get into the characters, you're not going to get into the movie.
All right, so I do have to throw in who I think is the weakest character in the entire movie. Bob.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is because...
No, he totally is.
Well, also, Quentin Tarantino, you've done a great job with having black characters. To my recollection, I've never seen you do a Latino character. Way to fucking throw a stereotype in. Like, he literally is saying every fucking stereotypical word. He's talking just like a fucking stereotypical Mexican. And I'm like watching the movie going
there's
like...
There's also the whole thing where you have to deal with the Civil War and the racism that ensues from that, while you've got two predominant black characters in the film who are heavily racist against Mexicans.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, like, you know...
Saying that Mexicans are worse than dogs, that is pretty fucking racist.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I kind of thought that was to a point a little bit. In a modern context.
Well, I get that, but, like, you know, at the same time, and Quentin Tarantino has gotten a lot of slack for his, you know, prevalent use of the N-word and, you know, dead end storage in the movie Pulp Fiction.
What does that mean?
Dead.
Oh!
Yeah. When Quentin Tarantino's character in...
I think you said dead end.
No, dead end, because I'm not gonna fucking say the word. Like,
no.
You know,
I just misheard you. I get you. I'm with you now.
Yeah. So yeah, Quentin Tarantino's got a lot of slack for that. A lot of people defended him.
I'm sorry, but you keep misusing that term. That term does not mean what you think it means. When you get slack, that means that you get a freebie.
Okay. Sorry.
He's thinking a lot of shit for it.
Shit.
That's what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I thought it kind of worked in a modern context to point out that there can be... Racism can go any which way, not just the traditional whites against blacks kind of thing.
Yeah.
But, I mean, at the same time, it's just kind of like, I mean, like, it just doesn't work when he's, like, the really shitty character in the movie. You know what I mean?
Well, and also, like, you know, you've had Asian people, you know, you've had other ethnic minorities. This is the first movie that you have a Latino character in, and, like, he literally says cabron orale, literally in the same fucking sentence. And I'm just like, did you, like, talk to Damien Bashir? I mean, I guess Damien Bashir was just like, oh, I get to be in a Quentin Tarantino movie. But, like, you know, like, part of me is just like...
I mean, like, to the point where his character is actually called the Mexican because that is his one defining trait.
Yeah, I mean, so, and, you know, also the fact that, like, his head gets blown off. And,
oh,
you know,
what?
like,
Okay, I don't think that was that big. I mean, partly because that plays into the plot.
Well, yeah, I mean, it does
and
play
also
into the
because,
plot.
like,
I'm not saying that, like, you know, he shouldn't have done this and stuff. I'm just saying, like, you know...
What a way to not give him a single redemptive quality. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
I get that. Because I think, like, OB, for example, is somebody who's, like, probably someone people don't really remember a lot. And I thought he was really endearing, and I felt really bad for him. And he actually got a lot of laughs in the movie. You know, and...
Plus, he had the coolest design.
He had a great design. Daisy was... I really enjoyed having Daisy in the movie.
Daisy was great.
I loved Daisy.
I loved the dentures that she had.
Yeah, where her teeth were broken up. It was a great touch to have. You can't do Samuel L. Jackson because he's him, but to have other characters with like really nasty fucking teeth, man. Like, oh my god, just like ew. There's a scene where what's his face? Where Chris throws his head back and you can see all of his teeth and they're gross and he's got like food hanging out of it. It was brilliant. I loved it.
Yeah, the makeup department, you know, did a great job.
Except for one thing.
Yeah.
The black eye, like, did you have to make it so cartoony?
Yeah, black guys don't look like that. I mean,
no.
watch Mad Max.
Right.
You know, that's a black eye. Or
right.
Breaking Bad. You know, that's a black eye.
I mean, this is not me trying to be like, oh, I'm so awesome. But as a point of how bad this was, I've done much more convincing black eyes. Multiple times. To the point where people were, like, actively concerned. And then there's this. And the reason why that one thing in particular bugs me is because she has it the whole movie. Like, if there's one thing that, like, hey, get it right, it should be that.
To be fair, later on in the movie, she has so much blood on her face.
Like, you almost can't even tell.
Right.
But, which is pretty awesome. Oh my god, I dug her a lot. She was really cool.
And it's so funny because, like, that actress is actually hot.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, she was in Existenz.
Which...
She was the main actress in Existenz.
But then
she's been in other... David Cronenberg movies as well.
Right, and there were a lot of other minor characters that I thought were really enjoyable. Like, Minnie was, except for the whole thing about Mexicans being worse than dogs, she was really likable and funny, and she was really, like, charming, and I liked her a lot. And she was barely in the movie. I thought she was super cute. And, you know, there was that one chick from New Zealand, and I was like, I want to know your story of how you got to Wyoming from New Zealand. But, you know, that didn't really come through. And, like, even Sweet Dave and the whole thing with Sweet Dave and the general was really cute. You know, like, there was all these great character moments. And then, out of everybody, the one kind of like, was Bob.
Yeah.
Yeah. That really did suck.
So, I'm hoping that Quentin Tarantino just, like, redeems himself a little bit in the next movie. Just, you know, have, like... somewhat of a more positive, you know, Latino character. Like, somebody who's just not, like, a fucking archetype.
Right. Somebody who's, like...
You know, Cabron and Odele in the same fucking sentence.
Well, I mean...
And, like, literally using the most stereotypical Mexican accent that you could have. Right.
And one thing I will say is, this is the exact definition of racist or sexist, is when a character's single personality trait is their race or their gender.
Yeah, and honestly,
she was nothing other than the Mexican guy.
Honestly, I didn't think the movie was sexist or misogynist, even though
I
they were
didn't
like
either.
fucking smacking around Jennifer Jason Leigh.
No, that was fucking equality on the screen for you right there. They were beating her up just as if she was a dude doing the exact same shit.
Yeah, but like you enjoy it because she's saying like racist shit, so she gets her fucking ass kicked.
Well, right, and she's a criminal, and she's violent, and she's gross, and whatever else. And I'm like, fuck yeah. I don't know, none of that shit bothered me in particular, but she was a character. She wasn't just the chick.
Right.
Which is the reason why I didn't have a problem with it. You know, she was getting smacked around just as much as everyone else. It would be kind of shitty if, like, everyone else was getting their ass kicked and, like, nobody wanted to hurt her even though she's a criminal and, you know, a shitty person or whatever else. Just because, oh, well, you're a girl, we don't hit girls. And it's like, shut the fuck up!
Yeah.
You know? At least, like, this movie was never like that. So, I was cool. Whatever.
So, let us know what you think. Put comments below. Or email us at allwalksoffilm@gmail.com. And we'll see you later.